0.5 and 1 over 2. They look completely different. One is a decimal, the other is a fraction. So, how can they possibly mean the same thing? And if that is true, then how does something like 0.75 become 3 over 4? Let's make this super easy. In this lesson, we'll learn how to convert decimals into fractions step by step, and by the end, you should be able to do it on your own. But before we start converting, we need to understand one very important idea. And that is, a decimal is often just another way of writing a fraction. That means decimals and fractions are not enemies, they are actually connected. For example, 0.5 means 5/10. 0.25 means 25 hundredths. 0.75 means 75 hundredths. And once you understand that, converting becomes much easier. Here is the main rule. First, write the decimal as a whole number, without the decimal point. Then put it over the correct place value. And then, simplify the fraction, if needed. That means, if the decimal has one digit after the decimal point, it is usually over 10. If it has two digits after the decimal point, it is usually over 100. And if it has three digits after the decimal point, it is usually over 1000. That is the core idea. Now let's actually do it. Let's start with an easy one. 0.5. First, remove the decimal point. That gives us 5. Now ask, what place value is the 5 in? It is in the tenths place. So, we write 5 over 10. But, we are not finished yet. We should simplify if possible, remember? So, 5 over 10 simplifies to 1 over 2. So, 0.5 is equal to 5 over 10, and it's also equal to 1 over 2. That's why 0.5 and 1/2 are the same. Let's slow down for 1 second here, because this is where many students memorize, but do not actually understand. 0.5 means 5/10. And 5/10 is written as 5 over 10. Then, we simplify it to 1/2. We are not doing any magic, we are just changing the form, that's all. This is really important. Now let's try 0.25. First, remove the decimal point. That gives us 25. Now, look at the decimal places. There are two digits after the decimal point. So, this is in hundredths. That means 25 over 100. Now simplify. Both 25 and 100 can be divided by 25. So, 25 over 100 becomes 1 over 4. And as a result, 0.25 is equal to 25 over 100, and it's also equal to 1 over 4. Now let's do one of the most common examples. 0.75. Remove the decimal point. That gives us 75. As there are two digits after the decimal point, so we put it over 100. That gives us 75 over 100. Now simplify. Both 75 and 100 can be divided by 25. So 75 over 100 becomes 3 over 4. So 0.75 is equal to 3 over 4. And this is a very important decimal to recognize quickly. Now let's try an example where 0 can confuse students. 0.04. As usual, remove the decimal point. That gives us 4. Remember, this 0 is not useless, as it is between the decimal point and 4. So, we consider two digits after the decimal point, 0 and 4. So, we put it over 100. That gives us 4 over 100. Now simplify. Both 4 and 100 can be divided by 4. So, 4 over 100 becomes 1 over 25. And as a result, 0.04 is equal to 1 over 25. Now if you look at the examples we just did, you will realize that if there is one digit after the decimal, you usually start with denominator, 10. If there are two digits after the decimal, you usually start with denominator, 100. And then, you simplify, if needed. This pattern makes the whole idea much easier. Now let's go one level higher. 0.125. Remove the decimal point, and you get 125. How many digits are after the decimal? 3 digits, right? So this is in thousands. That means 125 over 1000. Now simplify. Both can be divided by 125. So 125 over 1000 becomes 1 over 8. So 0.125 is equal to 1 over 8. This is a really nice example because it shows that even a decimal with 3 places can still become a very simple fraction. Now let's talk about very common mistakes. When some students see 0.25, they remove the decimal point and get 25, and then write 25 over 10. That is wrong. Why? Because 0.25 does not mean 25 tenths. It means 25 hundredths. And that changes everything. So please remember this. The denominator depends on the number of decimal places, not just the number you see. Don't skip this part, because this is a very common mistake. Another very common mistake is when students see something like 0.30. They remove the decimal point and get 3, but as they see 2 digits after decimal point, they simply write 3 over 100. That is completely wrong. And it's simply because the zeros at the extreme right, after the decimal point, are useless. So, this value can simply be written as 0.3. That means 3 is not in hundredths place, it's actually in tenths place. So, the correct fraction would be 3 over 10. Be careful, never make this mistake either. By the way, we discussed useful and useless zeros in detail in the last lesson. Now let's get back to our next example, where we do something slightly different. What if the decimal is bigger than 1? For example, 2.5. Same idea. Remove the decimal point, and you get 25. There is 1 digit after the decimal, so write it over 10. That gives us 25 over 10. Now simplify. 25 over 10 becomes 5 over 2. And if you want, you can also write that as a mixed number. 2 whole and 1 over 2. So, 2.5 is equal to 25 over 10. It's also equal to 5 over 2, and it's also equal to 2 whole and 1 over 2. This is very useful because it shows the same rule still works. Let's do one more important example. 3.75. Remove the decimal point, and you get 375. There are 2 digits after the decimal, so put it over 100. That gives us 375 over 100. Now simplify. Both numbers can be divided by 25. So, 375 over 100 becomes 15 over 4. And if you want to write it as a mixed number, it becomes 3 whole and 3 over 4. So, 3.75 is equal to 375 over 100. It's also equal to 15 over 4, and it's also equal to 3 and 3 over 4. This is a really good school-level example. Now it's your turn. Convert 0.2 into fraction. Pause this video here and try to solve it on your own. Answer is 1 over 5. Next, 0.060. Pause the video and try. Answer is 3 over 50. Next, 3.4. Pause the video and try. The simplified answer is 17 over 5. And the mixed fraction of it is 3 whole and 3 over 4. Last one, 1.005. Pause the video and try to solve. The simplified answer is 201 over 200. And the mixed fraction of it is 1 whole and 1 over 200. Let's summarize the entire lesson in just 3 steps. Step 1. Remove the decimal point to get the new numerator. Step 2. Write the number over 10, 100, or 1000, depending on how many decimal places it has. And step 3. Simplify if needed. That's it. That is the whole method. If you understand those 3 steps, you can do most decimal to fraction questions easily. In the next video, we'll learn how to compare decimals, because many students get confused there. So if you want decimals to become really easy, watch the next lesson in the series. If this lesson helped you, subscribe to Core Concept Academy, where math and science become clear, simple, and logical. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Thanks for watching. See you in the next lesson.